Hello Year 6 and welcome to today's literacy video. Yesterday we started our new unit, which is looking at a non-chronological report about a monster. You listened to the model text, and as you were listening to the model text, I asked you to see if you could identify any of the devices. And the reason why I asked you to do that is because today we're going to be having a look at our toolbox and working out what are those devices that we should be including in a non-chronological report. So let's have a look. Right then, so we've got our toolkit here, and I'm going to read out the different things that we want to see you including in your final piece. Number 1, we want a hook to engage your reader. This can form part of rhetorical questions, or maybe a top fact, so a fact which is going to make your reader want to continue to read on. So that's our first technique. The second technique that we expect to find in a non-chronological report is the use of technical or specific vocabulary. So that's subject-specific words. And we've got a few examples here which were found throughout the text. Translucent, indistinguishable, webbed. They're all examples of words relating specifically to the swamp monster. Our third device that we want to include in the toolkit is to sound like an expert. And in order to do that, we are going to use formal language and we are going to be informative. So we're actually going to give the facts, the information to the reader. The next device is to interest your reader. So we not only want to give them the facts, but we want to do that in a fascinating and interesting way. We are going to give maybe a warning about the monster and some advice. The next device is to organise your ideas. So to make sure that each paragraph has a specific focus, it's telling us something different about the monster. Just like how yesterday you looked at the structure, what is included in each paragraph along the model text. As part of organising your ideas, you might have topic sentences which introduce what the paragraph is about, and adverbials which work in the same way. And then the final device that we want to see in your writing is to use evidence. So a quotation from an expert or any topic-based technical vocabulary. Now, as you've probably already realised, your monster is going to be something you make up, or you might use it, as I said yesterday, from something you've read or something you've watched on TV. So this expert-based quote here is going to be something we invent. Right then, let's have a look at task 1. So today, using these devices that I've just talked you through, we are going to look for examples through each paragraph. And in order to help you with that, I am going to go through each one with you to give you one example, and then the rest you will do by yourself on your to-do. So here we have the first one. I want to find an example of a hook. So pause the video, read this paragraph here. What do you think the hook is in that paragraph? Well, the hook's easy to identify. It begins straight away with, do you ever wonder what might be lurking in the murky swamps of our world? That is a rhetorical question. It's acting as the hook to make the reader think, oh, actually, yes, I have been wondering about that, which then makes them want to read on. And as it says here, a top fact. So you could use this one here about it being a real creature, actually exists, despite the fact that a lot of people think it's just myth or legend. That's another thing which acts to encourage the reader to continue reading. So that's what I could write here as my example of the hook, the rhetorical question and the fact. Let's look at the next one. So the next one, I'd like to see an example for technical specific vocabulary. Pause the video again and see if you can spot any within this paragraph. Right, there's lots here. You can see here we've got translucent, that's technical vocabulary. Camouflage, there's another example of technical vocabulary there. So that's just 2 examples, and there's lots more throughout the rest of the model text. Let's look at the next one. Sound like an expert, so formal and informative. Now this one's probably the trickiest one out of all of them, but we do have a task later on to help us understand what we mean by formal and informative. Pause the video, see if you can see any formal language in here, anything which makes it informative, it's telling us information. Okay, so you could say this here. This is formal. It is believed that there is. We could have said that in an informal way, such as saying something like, some people think that. But actually using the phrase, it is believed that there is putting it in a more formal, informative manner. Let's look at the next one. Interest your reader. So as we've said, we don't just want to be informative, we also want to deliver those facts, that information in an interesting way. Look at this paragraph, anything within this which makes it interesting, appealing to the reader. Well, you could say this here. The transfixed, any animal is helpless to the swamp monster who squeezes the life from them with its lean, powerful limbs. That's interesting me. It's making me want to read on. It's not just saying that the swamp monster eats animals. It's saying that it squeezes the life from them. It's getting my imagination going. It's making me want to read on. Let's look at the next one. Organise your ideas. So this one here, when you come to do the to-do, you don't need to write out every paragraph, but you can look for any topic sentences, anything which introduces what the paragraph is going to be about. You can find examples of those, and then any adverbials as well. Pause the video, see if you can find any in that paragraph. Okay, you might have spotted this one here, being experts in camouflage. So that is an adverbial. We know that it's going to then go and continue to talk about how they use the camouflage. That's just one example. There are others. And then the last one, a nice easy one, using evidence. So any quotes from experts, any technical vocabulary, have a look, see if you can spot it. Okay, and you should have worked out it's this quote here from Dr. Patrick Thurston. You could use that as your quote. So today, for your first task, what you will have is all of these devices. You will have the model text, and I want you to read through and see how many you can find for each device. So for example, for this one, there's only ever going to be one hook because there's only ever one start to the text. So this one, you'll only have one rhetorical question, one fact, but technical specific vocabulary, sounding like an expert, interesting your reader, this one, and the evidence is used throughout. So read through the model text, find as many examples for each one and write them on the to-do. Now, the second task, formality. So as we said, we want to sound like an expert, and as the way to do that is through formal use of language. And it gives the example here, if you've ever watched a David Attenborough documentary, the whole idea is that he gives us the information. It's not to make us laugh, it's not to persuade us to do something, it is to deliver the information in a formal manner, but in a way that's also engaging. So this is our second task for today. You have got a series of sentences, you can see them here. On your to-do, I would like you to say which one is formal, which one's informal. And then it does say as your challenge, but I would like you all to do this task. I want you, whichever ones the formal ones are, to write the opposite, write them as informal. And then if they're informal, you write them as formal. So that is your task. Read them through, identify formal or informal, and then write them in the opposite. Okay, that is your task for today, children. Remember, if you've got any questions, please ask them in the blog, send us an email, and we look forward to marking your work. Have a great day.